Relations between the United States and the People's Republic of China have seen massive changes since the election of President Donald Trump in 2016. The 2020 election between Trump and Democratic candidate Joe Biden will prove instrumental for future U.S. policy on China, with far-reaching effects in both countries and the rest of the world.
The Chinese government has continually violated its promises to us and so many other nations. These plain facts cannot be overlooked or swept aside.
They're not bad folks, but guess what? They're not competition for us.
Welcome to China Today. We provide you insights on Chinese news, society, politics, international relations, and more. On November 3rd, millions of Americans will decide whether Trump gets a second term or if former Vice President Joe Biden becomes 46th President of the United States. Trump and Biden differ greatly on a wide range of issues, but there is one issue they both agree on. America should get tougher on China. Despite this, however, there are some key differences in the two candidates' attitudes toward Beijing. The U.S. and China are in confrontation not seen since the Cold War of the 20th century. The so-called era of engagement is coming to an end, as the two countries battle each other in trade, finance, political ideology, technology, and geopolitics. Trump's second-term agenda pledges to continue the tough China policy his administration has chartered over the last 4 years. The 2017 National Security Strategy named China as America's primary strategic competitor. In mid-2018, the United States began imposing tariffs on Chinese exports as part of the Trump administration's strategy to even out the trade deficit with China and compel Beijing to follow the norms of international business. Last October, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo targeted the Chinese Communist Party for its authoritarian rule, human rights violations, and attempts to spread its system to other countries.
The Chinese Communist Party is a Marxist-Leninist party focused on a struggle and international domination. We need only listen to the words of their leaders.
This June and July, Pompeo and 3 other top White House officials gave speeches further condemning the CCP, while making clear that America supports the Chinese people. A Trump re-election means that the next 4 years will continue to build upon the path he started in his first term. This includes growing efforts to push back against the Chinese Communist Party's influence operations and its authoritarian model of international relations. Former Vice President Biden also promises to stay tough on China, but his vision differs significantly from that of Trump. According to Biden's campaign, the most effective means of meeting the challenge from China is to build a united front of U.S. allies and partners to confront China's abusive behaviors and human rights violations, even as we seek to cooperate with Beijing on issues where our interests converge, such as climate change, non-proliferation, and global health security. Biden's China stance is different from that of Trump and even Bernie Sanders, the socialist candidate whom Biden defeated in the Democratic Party primaries. While Trump and Sanders advocate a more aggressive strategy to counter the Chinese Communist Party, Biden's approach focuses inward. A New York Times report said that Mr. Biden's aides emphasize a restoration of U.S. domestic strength. Biden and his policy advisors are from the engagement school, which favors closer cooperation with Communist China. The hope that by increasing trade and cultural ties with China, Beijing can be brought in line with liberal democratic values. Jake Sullivan, an important advisor to Biden, said that the United States should put less focus on trying to slow China down and more emphasis on trying to run faster ourselves. According to the U.S. intelligence community, Beijing prefers that Trump does not stay on as president. China prefers that President Trump, whom Beijing sees as unpredictable, does not win re-election, William Evanina, director of the National Counterintelligence and Security Center, said on August 7th. The contrast between the Biden and Trump programs offers some insight as to why Chinese leaders might favor a Biden presidency come next January. Critics of Biden point to his longtime support for engagement with China, a position that many see as outdated today. A report by NBC says that when Biden was vice president, he embraced the idea that the United States could coax China into acting as a responsible stakeholder. Now, he calls Chinese leader Xi Jinping a thug. Earlier, Biden criticized Trump's China policy, claiming that his tariffs are reckless and that Beijing, while a serious competitor, is no opponent of the United States. But regardless of who takes the White House, it is unlikely that the U.S. attitudes on China will change too much. Biden has sharpened his rhetoric against Beijing, saying that he would use tariffs when needed. There is one aspect that could be critical to the future of U.S.-China relations. Compared with Trump's program, the Biden campaign is highly conventional, says Sino Insider, a risk consultancy that specializes in Chinese politics, when it comes to handling key issues like trade, cybersecurity, and a new Cold War confrontation between the Chinese and U.S. political systems. Trump administration officials have highlighted the ideological nature of the conflict between the American democratic values and China's Marxist-Leninist totalitarianism. Biden and other prominent Democrats, however, hardly mention this aspect of the U.S.-China relationship. As president, Biden could put up a getting tough stance on China, while simultaneously conducting soft engagement. This arrangement coincides with the CCP's playbook of surviving crisis that threatens its power, allowing it to recover its strength for another day. We hope you found this video informative. Please like and subscribe for more unique news and insights about China.